Well folks, it's that time of the month again to guess the latest batch of silhouette teasers from Kaz's Twitter. 3 cars on this occasion. Of course we don't know at this point if there will be a circuit or not. Last month we expected one based on the kind of release schedule. That didn't happen of course. So we'll have to wait and see this time. If it does, we should get a trailer fairly soon anyway. But to work from the top left around, we have easily the most significant of the 3. Very distinctive design, especially with that unmistakable rear wing. A Ford Sierra RS500, a leaked vehicle from the data mining list. One of, I believe, all 3 here that was leaked from the list, if I recall correctly. Easily the most significant of the 3, alongside, of course, the Escort RS with a similar whale tail. That was a rally legend, this was a touring car legend. And it's amazing, really, that it's taken this long for a car like this to arrive in Gran Turismo. It's been a part of Forza for quite some time. Very, very cool car, super badass, very legendary. And chances are that's the dealership where it will be in the game. The bottom one is a returning face from the looks of things. The only returning face of the 3. Another variation, or what appears at least to be a variation of the Silvia. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is it Cookie or Cookie variation? I don't know, with the aero package of the S14 shape in particular. We'll have to wait and see if they choose a different model year, making it technically a new one, but it's essentially a returning car. And of course that'll keep the JDM fans even happy for another month. And then we have the last one, the top right. This is an interesting one because it's a fairly nondescript shape at first glance. Almost looks like a Toyota Sora or a Lexus SE300 kind of vibe. But you can make out the Beamer badge on the bonnet, which I initially missed because I was so focused on the other 2 cars. But it appears to be the BMW M2 Competition, which was leaked from the list as well. There were a couple of other possibilities. I could see it being maybe like an M6 or even an F10 M5, the twin-turbo V8, but it seems likely that it is the M2. So as I said, an interesting collection of 3 cars. The Sierra for most people will probably be the standout, but all things considered, all 3 of them are pretty good. In fact, if this were in GT Sport, for example, and it were part of a, say, 10 or 12 car pack, it would probably be a pretty great one, but because there's less cars, it doesn't seem that impressive. Now, speaking to that point, because of course it goes without saying you should stick around for me to cover the whole update when it drops, any kind of changes, any notable differences that it makes to the game. Doubtless it'll mess up the performance point system again, because it always seems to. Maybe it'll mess up tyres or suspension. Polyphony consistently finds a way of messing up something in the game when they make an update pretty much every time. And of course to see if there is a circuit or not. For now though, because of the increasingly downhill trajectory of how this game is looking for many of us, myself included, and for a good long while I've tried to be as positive as I can, and for the most part I still will try to be. You know, I'm not going to half-ass reviews or anything like that, but I think it needs to be addressed. So there are 2 videos that I'm planning to bring out in the coming weeks, maybe even in the coming days, but probably weeks on the channel, addressing things that, first of all, need to be changed moving forward, and secondly, a particular type of comment that I see quite a lot. Not as much now, because I think many of the people who were saying it are actually starting to realise how dumb it was, but for those who actually still agree with this mentality, I want to make a video to address a very specific kind of community apologist for polyphony, because as positive as I try to be, and I've always tried to be 50-50 with complimenting what they do well, criticising or making my recommendations for what I think could be done better, but I think clearly that is not having any kind of effect. Not that it ever was going to, but they're not listening to not only me, but anyone really in the community. Kaz is doing his own thing. It's what he's always done. And Polyphony and Sony and whoever else has any kind of actual creative control clearly pay very little attention to what anyone in the community, either a creator or an average player, have to say. So with that in mind, that is something which I want to address in those couple of videos. Both the people who are apologists for that kind of mentality and also the company itself in terms of whether or not they want to run this fandom into the ground or whether or not they want to actually be a legendary game again. Because currently, it isn't. GT7 is not a legendary game. GT Sport was not either. It is not what we grew up with, and for many of us, it is not what we wanted. So those things need to be talked about, and of course, in the more immediate future, As I said, I will be covering this update with the new vehicles, hopefully, fingers crossed, a new circuit, and any other changes that come with it. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.